SpaceX, a private company led by a clever billionaire named Elon Musk, has been acknowledged all over the globe as a firm that has done a lot of miracles to make space and other planets a human-friendly environment. Be sure to stick around as we reveal how SpaceX has effectively replaced Roscosmos, Russia's space agency, and is now NASA's favorite space agency to maintain the ISS. Russia has key control over the space station's propulsion control systems. Because Earth's gravity constantly pushes the ISS into the atmosphere while in orbit, the space station normally requires a propulsion module controlled by Russia to hold it in place. Without this consistent boost, the ISS would fall extremely fast toward the Earth's atmosphere, where it would burn up. The astronauts on board would most likely have enough time to leave the space station and return to Earth. Some of the astronauts may not be so fortunate. A number of the ISS's heavy components may escape the atmosphere and fall to the Earth's surface where, without control over the ISS's orbit, they may collide with structures and kill people. Again, there are several reasons why this is unlikely to occur. NASA claims that everything is okay. Destroying the space station isn't always in Russia's best interests. However, the future of space may not be as cooperative. Like the United States, Russia wishes to go to the Moon, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. However, as Roscosmos' declining commitment to the ISS demonstrates, the space agency no longer appears to be interested in collaborating closely with the United States, mostly because it has been sanctioned by the US government. As the conflict in Ukraine rages on, Russia raises the threat of abandoning the International Space Station, a football field-sized spacecraft that now shelters 6 people, and allowing it to fall onto Earth. Politics isn't intended to have any impact on the ISS. Russia and the United States began construction on the space station in the late 1990s. The alliance was regarded as a remarkable triumph of international collaboration, particularly in the aftermath of the Cold War and the decades-long space race. Since then, the International Space Station has brought together astronauts worldwide to perform research that might one day let humanity go even deeper into space. The good news is that the United States is no longer reliant on Roscosmos for ISS transportation. SpaceX has delivered NASA astronauts to the space station since 2020. The bad news is that Russia appears to be losing interest in the ISS. Last year, Russia threatened to withdraw from the space station alliance due to US sanctions. In March 2022, things worsened much more. The Russian Space Agency said it would no longer collaborate with Germany on the International Space Station science experiments. It will no longer supply rocket engines to the United States, on which NASA has historically relied. And Rogozin reiterated that without Russia's assistance, NASA would have to find another route to reach the ISS. He recommended broomsticks this time. Behind the scenes, the United States is scrambling to work out things on the ISS without Russia. Northrop Grumman has already offered to create a propulsion system to replace Russia's. Elon Musk has hinted on Twitter that SpaceX may also assist. These efforts may keep the International Space Station operational without Russia for a few years. Still, the space station will not last forever. NASA still intends to deorbit the ISS by the end of the decade. It will be gradually deorbited over a distant section of the Pacific Ocean, making room for future space stations to take its place. This includes China's Tiangong space station, which launched its first module into orbit in May. Humans are already aboard and is expected to be completed by the end of 2022. The United States is also supporting many new commercial space stations. At the same time, Russia and India both want to develop international space stations in the future. Poor ties between Europe and Russia have already influenced their space adventure. The European Space Agency, representing 22 European countries, released a statement in late February recognizing sanctions against Russia. As a result, Roscosmos postponed the launch of numerous satellites at Europe's spaceport in French Guiana to utilize Russia's Soyuz rocket. Separately, the Russian Space Agency is racing on negative odds with the United Kingdom over plans to launch 36 satellites from the satellite internet provider OneWeb into orbit. Roscosmos was meant to deliver these satellites, again by Soyuz, on March 4th, but is now refusing to do so unless the UK sells its share in the company and guarantees that the satellites will not be utilized for military purposes. The United Kingdom, which has issued its sanctions on Russia, has stated that it is unwilling to negotiate. Since then, OneWeb has stated that it would instead use SpaceX to launch some of its satellites, a blow right to Russia's face. At this point, SpaceX has completely replaced Russia and has become the choice of most top space agencies. At the same time, Russia is now being left on the bench. Russia may not rise again to conquer space as they planned unless their new ISS is fully built in space and set to operate. Before then, NASA and SpaceX must have dominated everywhere in space, so Russia may be at the mercy of other space companies. Following Russia's invasion, Romania, Singapore and Bahrain announced their intention to join the Artemis Accords. 15 other nations, including Poland and Ukraine, have previously agreed to the NASA-led set of principles intended to regulate how countries explore space. And even though Roscosmos was supposed to deploy a robot to Mars alongside the ESA this year, authorities indicated in February that these plans are now extremely doubtful. Rogozin has also stated that Russia will not allow the United States to deploy a mission to Venus in the future. He proposed that Venus is a Russian planet, and this is exactly where the battle will begin. We don't know yet how Russia's conflict with Ukraine will affect its cooperation with the China-manned space agency. In recent years, China and Russian space agencies have devised comprehensive plans to collaborate in space, including an initiative to create a lunar colony. It's hardly unexpected that CMSA would choose to collaborate with Roscosmos over NASA. The United States has generally excluded China from its space work. A 2011 US legislation prohibits NASA from interacting with China's space program. No Chinese astronaut has ever visited the International Space Station. This limitation reminds us that the ISS was never as international as its name indicates. It also provides CMSA with sufficient cause to develop its advanced space program. At this point, China may quickly join Russia in constructing the new Russia ISS. However, this does not imply that Russia and China's space ties are definite. While Rogozin has stated that Roscosmos may avoid sanctions by purchasing space technology from China, there are reasons to suspect that this will not happen. China has not fully supported Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It may be concerned about falling foul of sanctions. For the same reasons, India, which pledged to partner Russia in space at the end of last year, may reconsider its cooperation with Russia's space program. Russia's refusal to launch the satellites may have had an unforeseen consequence, awarding SpaceX another launch contract to perhaps a large deal. SpaceX has also taken over the responsibility of launching American astronauts to the International Space Station, which Russia had previously handled. After the space shuttle was retired in 2011, NASA was forced to rely on Russia to transport its personnel to the station, and such excursions weren't cheap. Russia charged up to $85 million per seat. Meanwhile, SpaceX is expanding its Starlink satellite network. According to a SpaceX spokesperson, the firm has 250,000 users and a fleet of around 2,000 satellites in space. We don't know how these new space politics will play out. We also don't know if Russia's conflict against Ukraine would push the country to go alone in space. But we do know that the tensions between Russia and the United States are generating a wedge between Roscosmos and NASA. This lays the framework for a new age of space collaboration, one that does not entail a single international alliance, as the ISS does, but rather multiple separate factions of spacefaring governments that will sometimes cooperate and sometimes not. As Roscosmos's approach to the Ukrainian war shows, things might get very complicated. Everything might wind up being the start of World War III. Because even if China, India and Russia combine to create an ISS, the SpaceX has one favor in NASA's eyes, also to provide maintenance for the present ISS. There may be a misunderstanding up there in space that leads to armed conflict between different countries on Earth. Time is still on our side, and we should all join hands and hope that we never have to deal with a scenario like this again. Do you believe SpaceX has the operational capability to keep the ISS functioning for NASA? Or at the very least, to achieve NASA's aim of exploring the universe? You will also be amazed by SpaceX and Starlink's insane new plan to beat Russia. Just click on this video.